So here I have the course of C# programming just freshly downloaded. I'll put it into the cloud, so get you the link, and so this course is quite interesting because it covers the just fundamentals of programming and the C# programming concepts. So we will get some ideas from it and some realization. So this will help you in your programming assignments that you will have. And there is also C# code here for in each of this part of the course. You have some so-called listings in Visual Studio in C#. So, for example, here the program is Hello World. So we define the libraries here, like this: system, collections, generic. So what we can write here, for example, let's define some values like this: B26. So then we would like to find the sum of these two numbers, A plus B, the difference between these two numbers. So we have the console right, and we have new line. So this we do in the main function. So in the main function we get the result of everything, of all our operations, and main function, as you see, is we need to have it in order to our program to work correctly, to have this initial start point. So this console, where is my window? So in order your screen not to interrupt, put the console read line at the end. So here what we have, like this, we initialize, we output the string, and we have this two numbers, the sum of them. So you can have this. So the next, for example, we would like maybe to do the multiplication. A and we add some additional value. So let's call it complex operation. And the one comfortable way when you use the Visual Studio, you have like advanced IntelliSense that will show you what values you have, what variables you have, what values you have, and what just functions you have already initialized, and so on. So, for example, when we start for this complex, you see it shows us what we can type in, for example, some complex operations. Okay, and for example, A or B. Like, here, let's put some condition here. Let's put some condition here. For example, let's have the maximum value of two numbers. Max initialize by 0 if A is less than B. So the value will be B. Else, in other case, we have the max as A. So tell me, please, do we need to write our figure, our figure parentheses or not? This. Why do we need them and when?
Excuse me, sir. Can I explain it?
So, for example, when we have the if condition in the body, we write several statements, a list of statements. And for example, I use this figure parentheses, yes? But if I delete them, what will change? Why do we need them in the code, and when do we need them? For example, in the conditional statements, do we need to have them? Like this. So what will be the difference? For example, if I delete them, does anything changes generally or not? So how do you think? But if I write something like this, why do I have an error now here? Why do I require? No.
Without them will be mistake?
Yeah, for example, here take a look. I deleted it and now I get a mistake. But previously, for example, I delete this line and now I don't have the mistake. Why is it happening?
That's for separating the lines of our code. Like if we have one statement, we will not face with errors, but during the else body, we haven't defined the else body. So in this case, the compiler will face with error because we have another statement that is not belongs to our condition, like to else statement.
Yeah, that's true. When we have only one statement in the conditional part, it is not mandatory to use our figure parentheses. That is because the compiler will take a look at the next line, and it will operate only one line in the body of the statement. But if you would like to have several lines in the statement, it is necessary to have them. Because, for example, if we do something like this, now max, like this, put so for example, let's output element now the maximum two numbers. The maximum of two numbers, we have this max value. If you run like this, so the maximum is 48. So this is the same 48 because this condition is satisfied. If we change now, for example, let it be 20. So the maximum is 0 because this condition is not satisfied. But if we get rid of our figure parentheses, so no. So our maximum is 48 because this condition is not satisfied, but here is the body, only one line, and for the following one line, it doesn't belong to the body of the conditional statement, it belongs to the code, so just the next line. So be attentive, just when you write your code, sometimes you can have some ambiguous results, so take a look what you receive. So let's take a look at the next. So this part is related to variables. So as we have already discussed in the lecture, there can be variables of different types. So here are integer variables, and here are floating point variables, the double length, just the float point, the decimal. Here we assign some values to them, and we get some results, some operations. Actually, we don't have here the operation, we just output the initialized values to each of the variables. Then we can have the string values. Here is a concatenation of strings. And also, so yeah, I don't know, it's okay. So we have the concatenation, like the bool value, for example, this true or false. For example, let's put the 1 value. No, it doesn't accept 1. Also, in the condition 1 or 0, it highlights the true and false values, but here we cannot write it, so just type in true. Is working just with also the case in C# is very important. For example, if you define these variables, this float sum this and float sum like this. So these are two different variables. Go look at it. It's already, we have already some. So in for the float, it is the C# wants you to define that f. So this is a floating point value. For double, it is not required to do it. Double. So these are just some operations with the values of the variables and the strings. So just wanted to show the variables of different types. It is also possible to convert the types in C#. Sometimes whether it is possible, but you cannot convert the string type to integer type because integer accepts only the number values. String is a list of characters, so that's why this conversion is not allowed. But let's take a look of what is presented here. So, for example, we want to convert count the value serial number to string. So, in this way, we write this method to string. For example, let's convert to the value or the variable integer to floating point. For example, when we have int a. So, So here we use a convert, but you can also do the explicit conversion like this. Let's have the value of, for example, float C, and we would like to have this A. So we convert the value of A using the parentheses, and in the parentheses you define the data type. So it is both possible use a convert or just use the value of the type in the parentheses. So let's have something like this. All right, line the value of A, and then the So here we output the results, but as we convert it, for example, let's convert the float type to int. Float value 40.7 to int new value, so like this, integer value, and so output the new value. So here you see we only leave the integer part, but the floating point part is excluded. So because we converted to the integer type, so it only keeps the integer value. So for comments, also I didn't highlight the comments. The comments are just easier to write. We just use this line, and if you want to several lines, columns, let's take a look. This new comment will explain the concepts of C# min language. You see just the multiple line common, you use the slash and the star symbol, then you type the code in several lines and you get the result. If you want to have in one code, just use double slash. So the commands are helpful. in your code, for example, you write the project sum, you want to explain what's happening there and why you write this part of code. That's why if it is necessary for you to use the commands, so don't avoid them. If it is comfortable, please use them. So what is interesting is also interesting here. Floating point type numbers. Okay, let's take a look at them. So we just output the floating point values. So the datetime type, okay, it's interesting type. So it keeps the value in the format of the date and the time, so it's a complex format. Let's take a look. We have this so here we can use the output like this. The date is for example, year. It is year. So the next one is months. Day and hour. So let's have this output. So like this, here we have, if you want to have it from the every time from the next line, use this symbol and so something like this. So this is a date time type. What is else here? These arithmetic operations. I think it's quite easy. You have the operations that we sum, subtraction, multiplication, division. Let's take the conditional statements. What's happened to these conditional statements? Something happened to this project. Okay, maybe another one. What we have already observed, statement if else. So this is the switch statement. For example, in case the input I join in C#, if it is the read line is yes, so we output this comma, this is very good. Sorry that you are not enjoying. This is not a correct answer. So for example, let's try to play with it a little bit. For example, if we type yes, I need to put console. Console line. Oh, this is very good. Oh, okay. If we also eliminate break here, we will get this. I enjoying it. Yes.
Excuse me.
Yes.
What if you want to check more than one conditional statement in with switch block? Like we have
Yes.
a string output, and we want to check both of them with switch statement.
You mean several conditions here?
Yeah.
Several conditions here because it's like if you try, we cannot use the logical like this and here. For example, let's try. In this input to Yeah, it doesn't allow us to use this operator, but we can use it in if statement. For example, if input equals to yes, or we have this, and for example, input 2 equals to yes. Oh, and so right line. This is very great. This is too great, as we have 2 yes. And else if this no, so now it is not, it doesn't allow to go from one label to another. So it, so we have so let's put it into this form. For example, if we delete break here, it actually doesn't allow us to output several cases because it can be ambiguous if we output. Previously, when the switch functionality is explained, when you have the something, the first is satisfied, it can output the other lines, but it's a little bit ambiguous because usually we need to have just the condition. If this condition is satisfied, we do this operation. If it's not, we go to the next line. So let's also check this condition. When we have 2 yes, we should output this line. When we have yes and no, not so good. And in other case, so here we have these 2 conditional statements that are separated by the logical AND operation. So you should know when we have this. So this. This is logical and this is logical OR, and we have the exclamation mark. It is not. Let's put yes and no, for example. This is not so good. So this is don't be confused. This is the answer to this question. This is very good. This is for switch statement. So you should probably use all this time the if and switch statements. It's very important. So then we need to take a look at the loop. Where is this? Can switch. And also when we have the variables and the constants. So let's take a look at the constants. Here, the constants value shouldn't be reinitialized. Then we use the keyword const. So like this. So let's take the change the value of pi, for example. We have pi 56. And for example, if we try to change this gravity force like this constant, gravity force, then no, it gives us an error. So let's treat. So it says that we need to have the variable. The left part of the statement should be a variable. But as it is constant, we don't want this value to be changed, because sometimes in the code we can change the values that should always be constant. For example, the gravity force is a value in physics that defines what is the force between the two objects, how the gravitation between them works. So when we don't use a const, we can reassign the value. Const. So now we cannot change. So we get these errors. Oh, yeah, we have this value. We cannot successfully compile the code. So take a look at the values when we so now everything is fine. Okay, string manipulation. Yeah, maybe I just can leave for the next time. And now I want you to do the exercises in this practice. So I have uploaded to the here. So it's in Univer, and here in the chat I have added. So I have added it here. So now you can have some time to prepare, to write the code and to show it to me.